Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer class. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide as we explore a fascinating corner of physics that you actually encounter every single day. We're talking about the reflection of light at curved surfaces, specifically spherical mirrors. If you've ever looked at yourself in a funhouse mirror or even just the back of a spoon, you have experienced this science firsthand. Today, we're going to break down exactly how and why light behaves the way it does when it hits a curve. Here's our lesson plan for today. We're going to start with Beyond Flat Mirrors, move into Bending the Rules, cover Mirror Anatomy 101, learn the 3 rules of light, tackle the mirror formula, and finish up with some real-world mirror magic. Let's get to it. Section 1. Beyond Flat Mirrors. We're talking curved surface reflection. Now, you already know how a regular flat plane mirror works, right? But today, we're entering completely new territory. We are bending the surface. So I want you to think about this question. Why do images look bulged, thin, or even entirely upside down in curved surfaces? I mean, think about the last time you grabbed a shiny metal soup spoon and looked into the bowl. Your face probably looked completely distorted, right? Maybe flipped upside down. But then you flip the spoon over to the bulging side, and suddenly you're right side up, but stretched out like crazy. What exactly is the light doing to play these tricks on our eyes? Moving to Section 2, Bending the Rules. Let's talk about normals on curves. To figure out how light behaves differently when surfaces curve, let's use a brilliant hands-on analogy. Imagine taking a small, flat piece of rubber or foam, kind of like the sole of a flip-flop. Now, stick a few pins into it in a straight line. Because the foam is flat, all these pins just stick straight out, totally parallel to one another. Now, in physics, if this foam were a mirror, these pins represent our normal lines. A normal line is really just a perpendicular line drawn exactly at the point where light hits the mirror. And the golden rule of reflection is that the angle a light ray hits this normal line will perfectly equal the angle it bounces off. Simple enough? On a flat surface, finding that normal line is a piece of cake. But what happens when we bend it? Now, what's really interesting about what we're seeing here is how bending the foam changes everything. On the left side, we bend the foam inwards. This represents a concave mirror. Look at those pins. They all tilt toward each other. They converge. But on the right side, we bend the foam outwards, creating a convex mirror. Now the pins spread apart. They diverge. Because the surface is curved, the normal lines are pointing in completely different directions, depending on exactly where the light strikes. So this means the reflected light rays are going to either be pushed together or scattered apart. Section 3, Mirror Anatomy 101. Let's get our terms down. To truly understand how light bounces off these converging and diverging normals, we need to build up a shared vocabulary. Let's dissect these mirrors teacher style and learn the core anatomical terms. First up is the center of curvature, which we call C. Remember those pins converging when we bent the foam inwards? Well, the exact point where all those normal lines would eventually meet and cross paths is the center of curvature. Another really helpful way to think about it is that every curved mirror is basically just a slice cut out of a giant hollow sphere. The center of curvature is literally just the dead center of that imaginary original sphere. Next up, we have the pole, marked with the letter P. This one is wonderfully straightforward. The pole is simply the exact middle point, the geometrical center, of the mirror's physical surface. If you were to tap the very center of your spoon with your finger, you'd be touching its pole. And finally, we have the principal axis. This is an imaginary horizontal line drawn perfectly straight through both the center of curvature and the pole. Think of the principal axis as our baseline, kind of like our equator. It's the reference line we absolutely need to measure everything else when we're tracking how light moves. And this brilliantly illustrates how all those terms tie together. You can see the curved surface of the mirror right there on the left. Smack in the middle of that curve is P, the pole. Out to the right is C, the center of curvature. And cutting right through both of them is our baseline, the principal axis. You'll also spot an F on there. That stands for the focal point, which sits exactly halfway between the pole and the center of curvature. Trust me, getting this geometry locked in your mind makes everything that follows so much easier. All right, Section 4, 3 rules of light. Let's predict some reflections. Now that we know the anatomy, let's learn the rules. These 3 rules are essentially your cheat codes to understanding curved mirrors. If you know them, you can predict exactly how an image will form on any spherical mirror. Let's walk through them slowly and deliberately. Rule 1. Any light ray traveling parallel to the principal axis will hit a concave mirror and reflect directly through the focal point. Boom. Rule 2 is literally just the exact opposite. A ray traveling through the focal point will hit the mirror and reflect perfectly parallel to the axis. And finally, Rule 3. A ray traveling through the center of curvature hits the mirror perfectly straight on, right along its normal line, so it reflects straight back along the exact same path. So to recap, parallel to focus, focus to parallel, and center to center. Easy. And here we see those rules in action in a truly powerful way. Sunlight is coming in from super far away, which means all those light rays are traveling perfectly parallel to our principal axis. So based on Rule 1, what happens? They all reflect off the concave mirror and violently converge right at F, the focal point. This isn't just a theoretical drawing on a chalkboard, folks. All that concentrated light energy creates immense heat. If you were to place a piece of paper exactly at that focal point, those converging rays would actually set the paper on fire. How cool is that?
Section 5. The mirror formula. The math of reflection.
Now, class, I want you to take a deep breath. Don't let any math anxiety creep in here, okay? All those visual rules we just learned, the converging lines, the focal points, they can be elegantly translated into one simple mathematical relationship. Here it is. 1 over F equals 1 over U plus 1 over V. It's really that simple. Let's break it down together. F is the focal length. That's the distance from the pole to the focal point. U is the object distance, meaning how far the actual physical object is from the mirror. And V is the image distance, which is where the reflection actually forms. If you know just 2 of these numbers, you can easily calculate the third. It's like a magic key that allows us to predict precisely where an image will appear. And right alongside the mirror formula, we have the magnification formula. This is simply the size of the reflected image divided by the size of the actual object. Now, why do we care? Because this specific formula is what tells us exactly why a reflection looks completely bulged out, shrunk down, or inverted in that spoon we talked about earlier. Depending on exactly where you're standing relative to the focal point, the math dictates precisely how your image gets stretched or squished. Okay, Section 6, real-world mirror magic. Let's see these mirrors in action. All right, so we have the anatomy, we have the rules, and we've got the formulas. But guys, this physics isn't just numbers on a blackboard. It powers incredible real-world applications. Consider the mind-blowing historical legend of Archimedes. The story goes that during the siege of Syracuse, Archimedes used a massive array of mirrors to focus the sun's parallel rays onto approaching enemy wooden ships. Just like the piece of paper in our earlier example, the intense converging light at the focal point supposedly caused the ships to literally burst into flames. A veritable ancient death ray, all powered by the simple, elegant rules of concave mirrors. No way, right? So the crucial point is that while the Archimedes story might be part myth, the science is 100% real. Just look at a modern solar cooker. It uses the exact same principle. A large concave mirror gathers parallel sunlight and focuses all of that thermal energy onto a single focal point, which is exactly where the cooking vessel is placed. It concentrates the sun's scattered power into a single, intensely hot spot, cooking a whole meal without needing a single drop of fuel or electricity. And the absolute best part? This physics works perfectly in reverse thanks to our Rule 2. Think about your car headlights for a second. Inside a headlight, you have a small bulb placed exactly at the focal point of a curved parabolic mirror. When the bulb lights up, its rays hit the mirror and, according to our rule, reflect outward in perfectly parallel lines. So, instead of gathering light to a single point, it takes a single point of light and throws a bright, focused, straight beam far into the dark road ahead of you. It's a real game changer. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. From ancient legends to cooking off-grid to driving safely at night, the way light interacts with curved surfaces completely shapes our world. Now that you know the rules and the formulas, I want you to look around you. How might you use the focused power of a parabolic mirror in your own life? Thank you so much for focusing in with me today on this explainer. Keep asking questions, keep observing, and keep exploring the incredible physical world around you. See you next time.